Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you now, Mo.
Perfect. I apologize. I've done this amazing intro that no one heard, so I'll do it. I'll do it all over again. Welcome everyone to the second installation of our four-part Making Move series, How to Communicate Your Sustainable Effort and Win Market. We've got an exciting session lined up, but to start, feel free to drop your questions in the comment, and we'll be addressing them later on in the session. We are also giving away a free ticket to Nexus Clean Tech Innovation Festival this Friday in Geelong. So if you are interested in this event, please write in the comment that you can make it, and we'll be selecting one at the start of this, at the end of this session. Now, let's make we'll start making some moves, as I already spent some time talking by myself at the start. So, hi everyone again. My name is Hamdouna. I'm thrilled to have you here today. Today we're diving in a topic that really it's in the heart of the business landscape today: sustainability and effective communication. But at the start, let's break it down. You see, marketing isn't really just about ads, promotion. It's more about that. It's how your product and service speak to us, how you connect to people. It's somehow essentially it gives product and services a social license to be part of our lives. But here's the thing: many companies at the same time are striving to be more environmentally friendly. They try to make impactful change, big change, and while other companies are trying to dress up their product with this kind of thin veneer of green. When it comes to sustainable product or services, we're looking at this kind of two type of products. Those products that replace the old, like, think of EV cars replacing petrol cars, solar energy replacing coal, which is easy for us to understand. It's easy for us to understand how their sustainable effect or impact works. On the other side, we have those products that it's not really easy to understand how much their sustainability effort works, unless if their product themselves talk or the companies speak about it. They speak about how it brought to us, what kind of materials has been using, what is recyclable, what is not, etc. And here becomes the value of communicating the sustainability of this product. Now, the challenge is telling those information without misleading our consumer or without over-promising, because there's a thin line between saying the truth or explaining your effort and tap into greenwashing. For this, and to guide us in this communication, we have Jacquie Sharples, the Head of Impact and Customer Success at Trace. Jacquie, welcome. If you would like to introduce yourself and introduce Trace for us.
Thanks, Mo. I'm so happy to be here and part of this discussion today. Thank you for having me on board. Yes, I am Jacquie. I'm the Head of Customer Success and Impact here at Trace. For those of you that don't know Trace is a platform that helps SMEs to measure and manage their carbon emissions. So one of the major, impacts and aspects of your sustainability story. And our vision is really a planet and a healthy people and a healthy ecosystem and a thriving net zero economy. And we really want to help SMEs to play their part in building that future.
Perfect. Thank you, Jacquie, for this. Now, we'll start with the first move. To kick off, could you share with us and with the audience why it's crucial today for businesses to embrace sustainability?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, in the role that I get to play in Trace, I get to talk to customers all the time about what's driving them to take action around sustainability. And I'd say there's probably 4 key reasons that come up time and time again. And those are values alignment, first of all. So we are in a situation with the climate today, which is just undeniable. I think the UN Secretary General came out recently and said that we've entered the era of global boiling, and that's quite terrifying. And a lot of people are concerned, including business founders and business leaders. And there's just a growing number of business leaders that don't want to be part of the problem. They want to bake sustainability into their business model, and they want their organization to be part of the solution. So values alignment and being part of the solution is one of the drivers. One of them, which increasingly is becoming a driver, is regulation. So we're seeing regulation boom here in Australia and internationally. The type of regulation which applies to your business will vary depending on your size and your industry and, of course, the country you're operating in. But we've definitely seen recently the start of global standardization of non-financial reporting. And we're going to see those non-financial related disclosures become more and more prominent. Getting a head start on reporting for these regulations is really important. Do you understand what your obligations are and what information you need to disclose? And you don't want to get caught out. So we're speaking to a lot of companies who are starting to get really proactive around that, which is great. One of the key drivers is obviously your customers. Businesses are taking action because their customers are demanding it now, which is really exciting to see. For example, I spoke to a law firm recently who needed to be able to report on their carbon footprint in order to win a contract with a major client, which is great to see. And it's being driven more and more by businesses starting to engage their supply chain and their value chain into conversation. So we'll see that happening more and more. And then, of course, the last one is your team and your people. People want to work for businesses that care and that do the right thing. I think Deloitte recently did a study that showed 46% of high income earners would consider switching jobs to a more sustainable company. And in a world where recruitment and retaining talent is getting really tough, taking action for your people is another key driver.
Perfect. So we have value alignment, we have being part of the solution, regulation as a driver, obviously your customers, and most importantly, your staff. Staff retention is very important. And as you said, definitely people more and more now want to be on the right side of history and want to be joining forces with those companies who are making a difference.
Yeah, definitely. And it's never just one driver. It's often more than one driver. And if you do take action for one reason, you reap the benefits in the other areas as well.
Perfect. So now you want to you want to align your value with what is happening. You must follow regulation more and more. They're getting tougher, and your customers are demanding this. So you start doing the effort. You can trace it by using Trace, which can also help you seeing how much impact are you doing or how much change is happening with your business. Now, how can we communicate this, and why there is a value of communicating it? Because exactly what you said. One of your customers there, they ask him to see their carbon footprint report. They want to know if they are doing the right thing, because they don't want to be questioned later on how's your suppliers are doing. Are you making the right choice or not? Because the other side as well, they are asking them. So consumers are increasingly interested in buying products that are better for the environment, better for people. So it's important to start showing your sustainable effort and tell a story about it. So Jacquie, how, from your point of view, how do you effectively communicate the sustainability effort?
Yeah, look, I'm not the communications expert on this call, Mo, but there's a couple of things, again, that I see time and time again that I'd like to call out here. The first one is actually talk about it. The amount of customers that don't talk about it, it's quite astounding. I can talk about that in a second. And then thinking about where to talk about it to reach your audience, and then, of course, how to talk about it. So the first point, talk about it. Often I see businesses who are actually taking steps and doing things around sustainability, but they're just not talking about it. And this can be for a variety of reasons. I often think it's just because they're so busy. They've managed to take the time to become a B Corp or to work with Trace, but then they haven't actually put the time into crafting a communications plan or taking the time to put it even on their website. It's not because they don't want to, it's usually just because they're at capacity and quite busy. So if you are taking action and you're not talking about it, even if you're not perfect, if you've started that journey, it's such a missed opportunity to not talk about it. Your stakeholders, like your customers, potential investors, future employees, if they can't find information out there, they're not going to know that information. So that's just a real missed opportunity. I think the other thing is you can actually have increased impact by talking about it, because others see what you're doing and get influenced by that. So we often talk to businesses who saw us on another business's website, and that's one way that you can actually have like a really nice ripple effect of impact. So I would encourage you to take the time to actually communicate.
I will add a quick note on this one. A simple way to start talking about it, if you're too busy and you're not really where to start, is simply first adding it in your brief. If you're working with any agency or with any marketing director, just adding in the brief that we have been doing this kind of things, find way to communicate about it. Second, just create a new content pillar, which is around sustainability. And by adding this as one of your content pillars, we usually work with 3 to 4, like a form of content pillars with our clients. And now we start introducing this as either the fourth or the fifth one, because it's important. And as you said, there's a lot of things to talk about it. It's drive consumer behaviors. And if it's not on this kind of list or the strategy itself, it's we often just either miss it or we don't talk about it enough. Continue.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And I think it's about thinking about where your customers or your stakeholders are going to be looking for that information and making sure it's present. And then even thinking about creative places that messaging can show up where they might not necessarily be looking for it. Again, a really good example I've got a customer who just does this so well, and they sweat their sustainability story in an amazing way. And it's a really genuine story. Their key driver is their customers. They really believe that their sustainability claims is a really key competitive advantage for them, and it's revenue generating for them. So they have a really fantastic, prominent sustainability page on their website with great visuals and really transparent information. They talk about it in their blog and in their customer and prospect newsletters. They weave it into their social media strategy as well. They talk about it from their company page, but also through their leaders' pages as well. They have their key sustainability claims on their email footers, so it's going out to all their emails as well. They have formal documentation that go into their tender documents. They have email automation set up out of their CRM that go out in different points in the customer journey just to talk about their sustainability journey even more. And they also make sure they educate their staff internally so that their sales staff can have really good conversations with their customers as well. So they pepper in the story in a variety of ways through their communications, and they really get the benefits from what they've done.
Your last comment about educating your staff is such an important one. We are working at the moment with a client who we're planning and speaking, working with them to communicate their new product that it's currently in R&D. And part of this, they wanted to engage their customers that we are doing the change and it can happen. But part of it was we need to tell also our sales team and educate them that this change is also happening. So they have another kind of card or another way of communication to communicate with their customers. Because they're far, we were just behind with the change. They've been selling this product for years now, and giving them more information and more education around why we are doing the change and how important is it and how it's going to affect the customer is super important for them to better communicate these values and start talking about it instead of speaking about what they have been speaking about in the last 5 or 10 years as well. So it's such an important information. As you mentioned, making it part of your social strategy is important, including or communicating it in the right spot. Email signature is such a powerful one. You send how many emails a day, everyone from your team. Amazing. Like it's such a prime real estate. We see it as a place that everyone will see, especially your direct customers or your people, your most important, the most important to your business. If I'll add a little bit on this, just keep it simple. You're not here to make it complicated to how much is it complex. It's easy to be sustainable. You don't want to make people be afraid of trying themselves for their business. Giving transparency, and also, if possible, show behind the scene. Show if you're getting your product done in a sustainable way, show it. If you can give a tour around your factory, around your business, show the process of making the product, how are you making it, how you marketing it, etc. But as well, at the same time, try to tell the truth and avoid greenwashing, which is what we'll be discussing next. Just a quick note, remember, add your questions and we'll come to it at the end of the session. And if you're interested in Nexus event this Friday in Geelong, please raise your hand, add a message, and we'll be selecting one person to win it at the end of the event. Now, greenwashing. It has been a hot topic lately. Many companies have been labeled as greenwashing. Some fines start to come through to some businesses, and really no one wants that. It's you either, like if I will quickly explain greenwashing, it's either by basically labeling some of the product or using this kind of vague language to hide few truth or to make things look like more greener than what it is. So either by hiding the source of your product, celebrating one green product and hide the other 99 product that they completely not green. Designing product with label that has vague language such as natural, 100% recyclable, renewable, carbon neutral, etc. And to navigate this kind of thin line between your genuine effort and greenwashing can be a trick. So Jacquie, how, from your experience, how can we avoid greenwashing? And what advice can you give to our audience to avoid falling in this trap?
Yeah, I think you make a really good point. Greenwashing is a topic that's not going away in a hurry. In fact, I think it's going to become more and more of a hot topic. I think it's really important to note that greenwashing can be intentional, where businesses do make false claims and they're trying to mislead eco-conscious consumers to get their dollar. But I think it's also important to acknowledge that greenwashing can be accidental and unintentional at times too. I think sometimes businesses just aren't up to date with the latest recommendations regarding how to communicate effectively, and that's why it's so important to make sure you do, make sure you're following the ACCC guidelines. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC, they did recently release some new draft guidelines to help you to make sure that you are being as transparent as possible with your communications, and so that you understand your obligations under Australian consumer law as well. So would definitely encourage you guys to have a look at that document. There are kind of 8 key guidelines that we can definitely call out, and Mo's already spoken about a few of them. The first one's so basic, just make truthful claims. Just make sure you're being truthful, number one, at all times. Make sure you've got evidence to back up those claims. I think that's a really key and important one. It's one of the things that we do really well here at Trace. You have to explain the evidence and the qualifications behind those claims that you're making. And as a result of that, of course, not doing these broad claims, as you said before, natural, green, they just don't really mean anything to anyone. Really important to use clear language that your consumers can understand, or else it's really confusing for them. And then any visuals that you use need to make sense as well and not give that wrong impression. So, those kind of just standard green tree images aren't going to cut it anymore. So as Mo said before, making sure that you're using really, really real footage and truthful footage does matter. And then just most importantly, just being really open and direct about your sustainability transition and where you're at. None of us are perfect when it comes to sustainability, and often it's all portrayed as a really perfect, pretty picture. And being transparent about the things we're doing not so well as really well is really important. So in terms of what we do here at Trace, I guess to support our customers in making claims, with Trace, often customers measure their carbon footprint. They can choose from a range of different certifications like carbon neutral, and then they also work on reducing their carbon footprint. So in order to help our customers make that claim, we have a variety of assets. So for example, we have a little badge which has the certification written on it. It also has an expiry date, so it's very clear. All of our customers have a public impact page which talks about the claim being made, the time period that it applies to, what was included and excluded from that claim, if they did purchase offsets, how many offsets and from what projects, and then what is their decarbonisation plan long term. So we really try to do the heavy lifting for our customers to make sure they're as transparent and complete as possible in their communications. And I would encourage you, in whatever sustainability claim you're making, to try to really paint that full picture for your consumers and your stakeholders.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Jacquie, for this. I want to say it from the point of view of a marketing agency, because somehow there's lots of this effort or work will happen in partnership with your marketing agency or with the marketing department. So, because at the end, if with our clients, we're the one who building the content, we're defining those strategies, we defining the content pillars, and we're trying to extract all this information around your product, services, objective, so we can turn it into either a marketing collateral, blog post, social post information. So potentially this the effort is done by the company and their marketing department or marketing agency. So in both sides, it's the sustainability effort is a new journey itself. So us also as agencies, we now more and more trying to get familiar with it and try to navigate the way that we need to tell a story. We want to sell the product. At the same time, we don't want to be doing any greenwashing. So finding this fine line and finding this right side is also tricky for us. Like as much as we, like for us, let's say in our agency, we are aware of it and trying to, and we're here today, we're speaking about it. So more and more we want to be doing the right thing, but just ensuring that we don't do this kind of mistake is also a tricky part. So as you said, like there's some people who's really trying to do the effort, and sometimes either the message get across in a wrong way or not in the right way. So somehow if you and here's a message for everyone, like if you feel this company is making an effort, you also want to understand that it's new to them to communicate about it. It's a new content pillar that now we need to navigate what is acceptable, what is not. At one stage 100% plastic free or 100% recyclable was somehow acceptable. Now we realize now you actually cannot recycle 100%, or this 100% recyclable, but it cannot be recycled here in Australia. It has to be sent somewhere else for it to be recycled. So it's actually your claim is not really true. So become okay, all these extra rules coming in, becoming almost like this financial company that you cannot promise so many things because it's financial claims and investment claims. So everything becomes super tricky. And instead of saying we want to do this, we start using words. Our ambition is to do this, just to be careful, basically. So just like I'm sharing it from a marketing from a marketing point of view. Communicating this effort and those terms need to come from the company. You need to be clear about it. You want to provide those evidence, and this is the value of using a platform such as Trace, because it gives you enough data and information that you actually can be used. Like X, this is how much effort we have done last year. This is how much we changed, and more.
I think you're spot on, Mo, that everybody's on a journey and consumers understand that. Businesses are on the same journey that we are in our own households. We don't do everything perfectly. We're all still trying to, make those key changes that we need to make. And that's why, as a business, being authentic and honest about the journey that you're on is actually really powerful. Perhaps something that you tried last year didn't work, or something has changed now, and being transparent about that is really good, really important.
Yeah, because at the end as well, I was speaking with a person the other day and saying, this company was promising to achieve this by this year, and they haven't. Like they only achieved 70% of it. And I was like thinking in my mind, but it's this is how things work. You always give yourself this high bench target that, okay, I want to reach 100% plastic free in our business by end of that year. And if we reach 70% and we couldn't make the 100%, still we got the 70%, and we were trying to get 100%, and for many reasons. One of them is it's actually expensive to go sustainable at the moment. You just couldn't make it. So how hard is it, or how important is it to give people basically you appreciate the effort, and just didn't you want to continue to push them that you're doing great, keep going, we see the effort. And you just need to continue being transparent with us and communicating all of this.
Yeah, and I think the other thing worth noting is that the ACCC recently spoke about green hushing as well. You'll probably have heard about green hushing before, which is not talking about your green claims at all. I think that feels like a safe place for some businesses, but it's really not anymore. Not talking about it is also now being perceived as another form of greenwashing. So you do need to have a story around this, and you do need to be communicating about this. and the sooner the better.
That's an interesting point. So if you're not speaking about your sustainable effort, it can be also considered as a form of greenwashing?
That's what the ACCC have come out and said recently. Yeah, so not talking about it is certainly not a way out, because we all need to be disclosing our environmental impact at this point.
Okay. I mean, I think it's a important note, this one, for all of our listeners today. You are the head of impact at Trace. So
Yes.
if you can tell us more about your part and how do you work with your clients basically to realize their impact or to set goals for their impact, and more.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a variety of sustainability issues that all of our organisations will touch. When it comes to Trace, we're really helping you with your impact around greenhouse gas emissions and carbon emissions specifically. So at Trace, we do help SMEs to measure their carbon footprint, so understand the carbon emissions associated with your operations. Then we help you to identify ways that you can reduce that carbon footprint. This often takes time and effort to invest in things that do reduce your carbon footprint. So we also have an option for you to invest in climate action projects in the meantime to help balance out those emissions and to be carbon neutral by investing in climate action projects. We also help our businesses to communicate what they're doing also. We do find that's something that all of our businesses do want to do. They want to talk about it internally and externally. We do this through using our software and platform, but also we've got a really supportive team that really holds your hand and educates you and your employees through the process. We include the employees through that measurement journey. It's one of the key ways that we do make more impact than perhaps other carbon accounting software platforms out there. We pride ourselves in terms of the impact we have on carbon reduction, the amazing impact that our climate action projects have in terms of environmental and social benefits. And then we also have impact in terms of engaging and educating your employees, which those numbers really do add up as we work with hundreds of businesses as well.
Perfect. So everyone who is here with us today, if you're looking for this kind of solution and to find or get support for your sustainability journey, you know where to reach. Trace is here, so we can help you with that. Once you get those information right and start building your information, come back to us and we will help you tell your story, basically. So perfect insight so far, Jacquie. Thank you for this. A last question I have, it's more about the effective communication again, the brand, the design, and how significant this role is. We understand one of the first greenwashing tactic was in the product label itself, the packaging of the product. And can you elaborate from your point of view the impact of branding design in this context?
I mean, I'm certainly not an expert on branding and design, I must admit. We tend to work more with service-based organisations than product-based organisations. The product-based organisations that we do work with, I think you do need to be extremely careful in terms of the claims that you put on products. For example, in order to claim a product being carbon neutral, you really have to go and do a full life cycle cost analysis. So we don't support that particular, I guess, aspect. But when it comes to service-based organisations talking about what they're doing, we tend to encourage them to use, I guess, storytelling, to be honest. We're really passionate about storytelling here at Trace. People don't tend to understand things like tons of carbon, but they do understand stories. So using imagery is really powerful. And I guess a good example of using stories is an example of our climate action project. So instead of talking about an amount of tons that you've offset, we get our customers to talk about the project themselves. So for example, we've got a project that's called the Katingan Peatlands project, it's an amazing project that makes it economically viable for local Indigenous communities to protect and enhance their local peatlands, protects endangered biodiversity and animals, as well as keeping large stores of carbon in the ground. So instead of talking about tons of offsets, we'd certainly encourage and provide the assets for our customers to talk about those projects instead. And people tend to connect with those stories, those impact stories, more than figures.
Of course, I also agree. Creating this emotion, it creates an emotional connection. it show your effort, the real actual effort where people will appreciate and connect with, instead of just hinging kind of those numbers of how many tons of carbon. And it show commitment and clarify that you're not just subsidizing basically your carbon by purchasing either carbon credit, etc., which is a whole different topic. It just show more about the authenticity of your effort, your practice, and how much you're actually giving back to either community or making this kind of amazing project with them where it's needed as well. I believe that's it for our topic. Let's move to some of the questions that we have received in the comment. And I will start with a question from Susan, which is, she asked about the pillar and what do we mean about it by adding it, and if it's mean adding it as a new web page. Susan, when we create a marketing or a brand strategy, we define different content pillars that most likely they will be the 3 or 4 main topics that we will speak about in this business. So it can be about one about the location they are in, if their service is tied to a specific location, or their product. So when we define those content pillars, we tend to just give it percentage, how much we're going to speak about each product per month, let's say, or in every different medium, and only speak about those 4 topics, so we can start having follower base that are interested on this content. So by introducing another pillar, it's just mean this another form of content that we want to speak about, and then it will be distributed in the right channels. Like it's exactly similar to what Jacquie said, can go to the email signature, a blog page, etc. So it doesn't have to be only as a new web page. It can just take the right channel that will give you the like will give excuse me, will give you a good impact in it. Another question from Tim, which is, what are other examples of good messaging? Maybe Jacquie, if you can tell us more about this, some examples.
Yeah, I mean, I think the example that I used before is probably a key example of how our customers do it, by talking about stories rather than tonnages and things that people haven't got examples of or haven't got context for. I think a good example is maybe to look at bad messaging. So, you know, any messaging which doesn't align with those ACCC guidelines is going to fall you into a bit of a trap of greenwashing. So good messaging will tick all those 8 principal boxes from the ACCC guidelines. So I think looking back over your messaging and ensuring that it ticks those boxes will land you in a good place. I think the other thing is, again, an example of poor messaging. There was an HSBC ad which ran in the UK on bus shelters with a beautiful, lovely green visual of trees, and it said, in the UK, we are planting 2 million trees, which will lock away 1.25 million tonnes of carbon. Now, HSBC is a bank which funds fossil fuel projects in carbon-heavy industries, so they're trying to look eco-friendly, and they're not talking about the $9 billion that they invested in new oil and gas projects that particular year. Of course, those ads were banned. I think that when we're crafting our messaging, we need to be honest and transparent about who we are and what our product and service is, and ensure that we're not trying to pull the wool over consumers' eyes.
Yes, which is potentially it answered the question that Danny asked. Can you please explain more about the green hushing and why it's dangerous? Or somehow I didn't realize she asking about the green hushing itself, but
yeah. I mean, I can talk to green. There's a whole host of new terms which have come out. Green hushing is that, I think, that term which describes us being a bit too scared to talk about our green efforts. We're hushed. We're hushed. I think it's dangerous because people can't find out sustainability information about your business. So your potential customers, your potential investors, your future employees, they can't find any information out. So they don't know how you're doing. They can't compare you to your competitors, and you're not disclosing your environmental impact. The other bad thing about it, I guess, is it shuts down conversations around sustainability, and we need more businesses and more people to be acting. And the more businesses are out there talking about their journey, the more businesses are going to come along on that journey as well.
Yes.
Sorry, Mo.
No, it's fine. I was thinking it also, it doesn't connect you, or doesn't connect the customers who are looking for those companies who are making a good journey in their sustainability, because they're searching for a good company. And if you're not talking about it, they will not find you, and they could end up with another company who aren't doing any sustainability effort. So by you hushing basically your information, you misleading the consumer to go with another provider who is not doing any sustainability effort, and by doing this, basically you're losing, and they are losing as well. So it could be another way to think about it. We have another question from Asad. He asked, how does the sustainability of a process or a product represent a strong business case compared to profitability and productivity? For example, people say still oil has better energy efficiency than the solar power.
This is a deep question.
Yes, interesting question. I mean, at the end, I'll just answer from my point of view. Choosing the right business who give, or the right product and service, it also needs to make sense for what you're trying to achieve. So unfortunately, at this stage, not all product or all choices you can make can give you exactly what you're looking for, especially when it comes to the high heat thing. Like if in hospitality businesses, in kitchen businesses, changing basically their current oven base to not oven, like if they cooking with oil on energy, might be not just as effective. So, and again, I'm speaking from my point of view. You want to make all the right choices as much as you can, but sometimes you are forced to go with an option that doesn't give you this 100% sustainable or 100% green just yet. So I don't think it answered fully your question, Asad. I'm not sure if you want to add anything to it, Jackie.
I think, without getting too deep into this conversation, I think part of the reason why some of these dirtier fuels like oil do seem to be a cheaper option is because the environmental externalities and the social externalities are not priced into that. So all of the environmental degradation and the health issues that come along with using this type of energy is not priced into the product properly at the moment. So I think you do need to look like holistically in terms of your environmental and social, I guess, impacts to really assess the sustainability of a particular type of product or service.
Brilliant. Much better answer than mine, Jackie. Thank you. I spoke about it from a different point of view, but that's great. I'm conscious about time. We promised that we'll be selecting one person from the comment to win a ticket to the Nexus event this Friday in Geelong, Nexus Clean Tech Innovation Festival. And the winner is, drumroll, Jackie, from your end, Susan Wanmer. Thank you so much for attending this event, and congratulations for the ticket. Our team will be in touch with you shortly to give you more information. Now, Jackie, thank you so much for your time, for your information. If anyone would like to, again, contact Jackie, you can find her obviously here on LinkedIn, and feel free to make the connection or go to Trace. Thank you everyone for joining us. Please keep making those sustainable moves. Remember, every effort counts, and stay tuned for our next Make a Move event. We'll be sharing about it shortly, but next Wednesday we're having another event where we will have Jackie again with other 7 great speakers. This event will be in person in Melbourne. So we'll be sharing information more about it here. If you are in Melbourne and can make it next week, please join us. You must register through the Eventbrite link, which we'll be also sharing, and we hope to see you there. Thank you everyone, and thank you, Jackie, again.
Thank you so much for having me, Mo, and thank you everyone for coming along today.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. See you then.